Hey everyone, welcome back to Reading with Tatiana. Today I'm reviewing Seoulmates by Susan Lee, and I gave this book a 3 out of 5. My Booktuber shout today goes out to Amy Reed. She is a new Booktuber. I found her through the Booktube newbie tag. She has only been around for a month, but she already has uploaded 6 videos. I'll link her channel down below, and please show her some support. And as always, before I go into my full book review, if you're watching this video, I always will appreciate it if you can hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and if you read this book or have any other young adult K-pop related reads, comment down below. This book, Seoulmates, was published in 2022, and the genre is young adult contemporary romance, friends to lover, and also in the K-pop, K-drama sphere. A bit about the author Susan Lee. So she has done many careers in her life. She's been a bartender, a network engineer, an HR person, and now currently she is an author. Seoulmates is her debut novel, and she also has a second novel coming up at the end of this year called Name Drop. It's kind of cool because Susan Lee, she is Asian American, and both her books are also about Asian American characters, which I think is kind of cool because I'm not Asian American, but I am Asian Canadian, so it's really cool, growing up when I read books that people like me weren't so featured, so it's really cool to see that be more prevalent. Susan is a natural born storyteller, and she likes writing novels that are oftentimes about the human condition, about the awkwardness, about the funny moments, and about love. She currently lives in Southern California, where she originally is from New York though, and she has a pack of pre-chihuahuas that she lives with. All right, let's get into the story and the premise of Seoulmates. So this is set in San Diego in America, and our protagonist Hannah, she is, I believe, in grade 11 going to grade 12, and she is Korean American. However, she feels very disassociated from her culture. She has dyed her hair like blonde, she's tan, and she feels like not very Korean despite being raised by her Korean mom and also having a Korean dad. Growing up, she had a childhood friend called Jacob, and when he was 15, his father died, and then him, his mom, and sister went back to Korea, where he was kind of MIA for a bit, and he became like a huge K-drama star, and also goes by Jinsuk, which is his Korean name. So Hannah was really mad because she had this childhood friend that she grew up with, and all of a sudden in her eyes, he just kind of left and like effed off to Korea and became a star. So the story starts with Hannah at summer entering grade 12, and then Jacob comes back from Korea with his family because he injured his ankle and needs some time off from filming. So him and Hannah, who haven't talked for a few years, are forced to reconnect and kind of like get closure they didn't get a few years before. So this book, as I said before, the genre is friends to lover, and it's just like really sweet because they're just like childhood friends. There's a bit of like sweetheartism in it, and it's really cool to see how they're able to grow as teenagers, to come with these feelings they've harbored for so long, learn to communicate. And I feel like this book, like if I was a teenager, this book would have been so amazing, and I'd be like, oh my god, I'm just like gushing over this book. And I really enjoyed it. So that's basically the basic premise of the book. But of course, there is a whole cast of characters. There's Nate, who is Hannah's ex. He is a Caucasian American, but he's also a huge K-drama fan. There's also the parents, Mrs. Choi and Mrs. Kim, who have always wanted their kids to fall in love. And there's also Min-kin and Haejin, which Min-kin is Jin-suk's co-star on the K-drama, and Haejin is Jacob or Jin-suk's manager. So all these different characters kind of come in and kind of tear their love apart, create conflict, and that kind of stuff. Common themes I found in this book. The first one is about embracing your culture. Hannah had a hard time embracing her Korean heritage, especially in this book. It's set in a time like now where K-pop and K-dramas is taking the Western world, and she has to come to terms with she should be proud to be Korean and she shouldn't be ashamed. Other thing is with all the characters is living for yourself, and even if other people seem to be dependent on you, if you're not happy, that's where it stops. And you need to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And in this case, like Jacob had a hard time just absolving himself of his responsibilities. But in the end, his mom and his sister care about his happiness the most. Other common theme is not to hold a grudge. Hannah did not talk to Jacob for several years when he first left to Korea. And they had 3 years of lost time, which when they're 17, that's like a big chunk of their life. So this book talks about letting go and just understanding when people abandon you, it's not really about you. It's just that sometimes people have other things going on in their life. And then also another thing that maybe wasn't like an explicit common theme, but I definitely noticed is the obsession in with celebrities in Korea. Like, if you're not familiar with like K-drama and K-pop, is that when you're like a famous person in Korea, you are not really allowed to date in your personal life because there's like a aura, not an aura, like a like is the word aura like a way like you want to keep up appearances that maybe you're dating your coworker, maybe there's a romance, and everything is kind of like master planned by some producers in the back end. So this book talks about like people's obsession with K-pop and K-pop culture. So I gave this book a 3, so there were things I didn't like about this book. The first thing I didn't like was that, it is a young adult romance, so there are many parts that are a bit cringy, but I can suspend disbelief because I'm obviously not the target audience for this book. But for parts of it, I was just like, oh, maybe let's just flip forward because I just don't need this like internal cringy dialogue happening or description of the first time like touching each other and that kind of stuff. Another thing I didn't like was all the characters had very predictable behavior. No character sidetracked me or threw me for a loop. I could always kind of guess what was going to happen. So it was like an easy read, but sometimes you want like some surprises and some twists. And like I felt like there was so much internal dialogue sometimes that the book dragged quite a bit because I'm like, okay, I already know what's going to happen next, so why are we taking so long to get there? On the flip side though, things I did like was I lived in Korea for 2 years in 2012 2014. So this book was really good because Susan, the author, does a lot of like Konglish where she writes Korean words in English throughout the book. So I really enjoyed that. It made me feel very nostalgic for my time in Korea, and there's just like a lot of like cultural things that are added in that makes me really miss Korea, and I really enjoyed that. So I can imagine if you're Korean American, this book would be even more enjoyable for you. I do wonder though, if you're someone who like isn't familiar with Korean words, maybe it'd be frustrating to read this book because you have to stop and Google quite a bit. But if you're a Korea boo, this book is for you. On Goodreads, this book got an average of 3.61 out of 5. I think it's very accurate for young adult romance fiction. Bad reviews where people felt it was fairly similar to other young adults K romance. This is my first K romance, so I can't really comment on that. But they felt that it was very predictable and it was kind of like copycats of other stories. People also felt the characters were too two-dimensional and there wasn't a lot of like character development. Good reviews though, where people felt it was exactly what they need. It was a lot of K-drama, K-pop, K-culture. They loved that it was cute and heartwarming, and it was just like a great read. A lot of people also commented on the cover of the book and how they really love the cover art of the book, which I can agree with. Why I think you should read this book? I think you should read it if you're a fan of Korea, you like young adults romance, you love the friends to lover trope. This will fit all your boxes. And now I'll share how this book made me feel, because if someone ever recommends a book to me, I like to ask them how it made them feel, because if you ask me a week, a year, 5 years from now, I probably won't remember exactly what the book was about, but remember how it made me feel. So this book, Seoulmates by Susan Lee, it made me really miss my time in Korea. It's a great country. There are so many great things about it. And yeah, it just made me feel nostalgic for the time in my early 20s. Thanks for watching until the end of my book review for Seoulmates by Susan Lee. If you read this, please comment down below what you thought. And if you want to join me next time, I'm reading a non-fiction, very short story for my contribution to Literary Gladiators. It is called, I think that Lifeboat number 8, which is the lifeboat on the Titanic, written by Elizabeth Kaye. So I will not post that review on this channel. It'll be published on Literary Gladiators channel like mid-May. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!